I'll tell you how I thought about starting this group. Ever since COVID has happened, it has taken over our lives. That's the only news one hears. It's depressing. There's an overload of information, be it on the TV, the newspapers, the constant WhatsApps, 24/7. Even a person who is not depressed can very easily get depressed. My ears are aching for some good news. It's in such times we need to look for hope. We need to look for positive things. We need to find happiness even in the smallest of things. So I thought of starting this group simply to share our stories. Because I think many times in life, people just want to talk. They just want to hear. They just want to be heard. And maybe we can learn something and share something with each other and from our stories. That's why I have titled this as the Happiness Chat. Nothing more, nothing less. When we are fine, we go through our lives like a robot. We are on some auto control mode. We don't even have the time to think. The think button is switched off. But when life throws challenges at us, be it in the form of a tsunami or a coronavirus, we are forced to slow down and think what really matters in life. I love that line of John Lennon when in school he was told to write, "What do you want to be in life?" He replied, "Happy." So the teacher said, "You didn't understand the question." He says, "No, you don't understand life." What a phenomenal answer coming from a child. The universal truth is we all want to be happy. That's the way we are. That's the way we were born. Have you seen babies and children? How easily they smile, they laugh, they play. They don't have a list of demands, some goals to achieve before they give us a smile. But somewhere as we grow older, due to social conditioning, pressures of life, we lose our natural self of being happy. We will continue with our chat and open the floors to questions. I would love to hear from you, but we have few very busy people who have taken out the time to join us and who have to leave soon. So I will request them to speak first. May I please request Dr. Vinit Suri, Senior Consultant Neurologist in the Prastha Apollo Hospital, immediate past President of the Indian Stroke Association, to share his thoughts with us. Now, that was his formal introduction. To me, he is Doc. 3 alphabets, but they have a world of respect, admiration, and gratitude. Doc, over to you.
Myself, yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Just unmuted myself. So I say good evening, everybody. And I think a big hi, Shilpa. It's such a pleasure to be part of this group. I think it's very apt that you have started this happiness chat or this happiness group, because I think your story is something that I think everybody should learn from. You know, as doctors, we learn from every disease process that we treat. You know, we say in neurology parlance, you learn neurology stroke by stroke. Every patient you treat teaches you medical values and, you know, gives you enough medical information. But I think every patient, when you see them as a human being, as a person, there is so much to learn from them. And I think one of my most learning experiences has been by knowing Shilpa. It all started in 2003. I think what she said, you know, in April 2003 is absolutely fine. And she developed a rapid onset of weakness of all 4 limbs, went into coma. She was admitted into a hospital in Dubai where they thought she had viral encephalitis. And, you know, when I spoke to her father later when she was transferred here, they were actually told that probably that night when she was shifted early morning to Delhi, the father was told that, you know, this is probably her last night. Say your prayers and probably she won't pass through the night. That's when, you know, her father contacted the chairman of Apollo. She was flown into Delhi because he never said to give up. You know, he said, whatever the doctors are saying, I just can't give up. You know, he had that courage. She was brought in. She was brought in on a ventilator. She was unconscious. She was quadriplegic. She had weakness of all four limbs. Fortunately for her, it was not encephalitis. Encephalitis is where there's a direct infection into the brain and the nerves are all eaten up by the virus. She had a condition which sounds even more devastating. It's an acute disseminated encephalomyelitis, where her body had produced antibodies which had hit the entire nerve. And when you give certain drugs, you can actually remove those antibodies, and the recovery can be very good. So she was very, very sick. She was prognosticated not to survive the entire night. That is the state. And with that state, her father had shifted her here to Delhi. And when we saw her, she was comatose, she was quadriplegic, she looked extremely sick. And in a few days, when she improved and the ventilator was removed, she was still quadriplegic. She could just move her face, she could just speak a little bit. And the first thing I entered a room, the first thing she said was, smiling, "How are you, doc?" She's not asking about how I am. She's greeting me with a big smile. And she asked me, "How are you, doc?" And every time I would come into a room, she would always have that big smile. And before I could ask her how she is, she would ask me, "How are you, doc?" I know she was so full of, right from the time that she started talking, and she was not able to move at all. She just had speech and she had her head movement. And then she just started to gradually improve each step at a time, from one little finger movement would bring joy to her and to everybody in the family. She could just move a little twing. Next day we would see, okay, well, now you are able to move a little bit of the wrist. Then she could produce movement along gravity. Gradually she could sit up in bed with support, sit out of bed on a chair. Gradually she could stand with 3 attendants. It was like a big exercise, a saddle walker, 3 people holding her, then to gradually standing on her own, and then to walking. Each little step brought little joy. And throughout this, she always had a smile and she never complained about what she had. She was always asking, "How are you, doc?" Her only thing was, "How do I look, doc? Your medicines are only making me gain weight." That was the kind of humor she had all the time, and she had her, like she said, she had her tears, but they were all in private. We did share some of these moments, but in front of her family, especially in front of her father, her sisters, husband, she was always smiling. She had that, that power in her that, she would never show that, she was sad, that she was feeling that she's unable, she's handicapped at that moment. And I think that's what's brought her onto this state now. So when I said I learn immensely from her, 2 things that I learned from her is that tough times do not last forever. Tough people do. And I think that is what all of you should learn from her. The other thing that I learned from her is that you can't always be happy. There are going to be problems in life. So you can't always be happy. But one thing you can always do is be positive. And you can always be positive. You are unhappy, but you are positive. And if you are positive, ultimately you are going to get happiness. So I think these are 2 things that I think Shilpa, right from 2003 that I've seen her, we keep chatting and we keep, I keep hearing from her, and I keep, she makes me so proud with all her skillful write-ups. When I look at her write-ups and I see, what good write-ups she's writing. And I think these are the words that I wanted to say for her, that I think she's the most apt example for starting off this happiness chat. All through this major ordeal in life, she's been so strong, so positive, and so full of energy that I think she's a right example for anybody who's in trouble. And I think I wish her all the best in life, Shilpa. It's been, she calls me my doc, but I think I'm her biggest fan, and I wish her all the best in life.
Thank you so much, Doc. Thank you so much for taking out the time and joining us, and for all your kind words. I hope I count you as one of my blessings. Thank you once again. Happiness as a subject is as vast as the universe. It can have so many definitions. It can mean different things to different people. This subject has always fascinated me. I have studied it, I have done courses, I have interacted with social scientists, psychologists, neurologists, yet to come to a definition of it is an uphill task. There's no one size fits all. But the truth is, the bottom line is, we all deserve to be happy. So my question to you today is, what does happiness mean to you? If you raise your hands, Natasha would unmute you. I would love to hear your thoughts. A minute, please. Thank you.
So actually happiness is a big thing. I think people make happiness out to be a much bigger thing than what it is. For me, happiness is just having a good hot water bath. For me, it's just could mean little things actually. So I'm not looking at scientists. I'm really not looking for answers what happiness is, because for me, happiness, like what Anand Mama said right now, could be a glass of wine with ice. For me, it could be a bottle. It could be just a hot water bath. It could be just a good elaichi adrak wali chai. So happiness is very relative. For me, it means different things. I'm not looking for big answers. It's the small things which all add up to the big happiness picture. Thank you.
Very right. I so agree with you, Divya. That's why we cannot have a definition. You know, it's what it means to you, what it means to me, what it means to somebody else, from the simplest things. And I think the beauty of life is to find happiness in the smallest of things. Why do we have to climb Mount Everest to find happiness? We can find it anywhere. Thank you. Sonia Mehta, Priya Khanna, would you like to share your thoughts?
Yeah, I can share. So what I've discovered during this period is there's a fluidity in happiness. What happiness meant for me some time ago is not what it means to me now. So when we kind of start discovering ourselves and rediscovering ourselves, our definition of happiness also keeps changing. So I never thought I'll find happiness in just being in tranquility for 75 days at a stretch. My earlier perception of happiness was, no, this is not me. I can survive a week. But it's so beautifully unfolded, and I realized, no, this also makes me very happy. So that is the transitory nature in a sense for me.
Wow, that's so wonderful. I so agree with you, because they say change is the only constant in life. So happiness is also such an evolving process. Today, what makes us happy may not make us happy tomorrow. So thank you, Sonia, so much for sharing. Priya Khanna, would you like to share something? Natasha, have you unmuted Priya?
Yes, she needs to unmute herself now. Yeah.
Okay. Hi everyone. Actually, I haven't thought of the answer. What to say, but now that I've heard the conversation, for me, happiness would be a sense of freedom. Just to be myself, to do what I want to do, just feel good about it. So it's got to do with not having any restrictions, constraints, whether mental or physical. So it's about freedom of thinking, of doing, of feeling. I think I don't know if I can put it correctly. And also I feel that it's a way of looking at things. And that perception keeps changing with time. Like Sonia mentioned, it's fluid. Some things that made me happy earlier are meaningless now. So it's also my perception of happiness is also, my definition is changing. But yes, I would say it definitely would involve a lot of freedom. So in whichever sense.
Thank you, Priya. I so agree with you on it, because I feel, how can anyone be happy without freedom? How can you be caged and be happy? I mean, freedom is just goes to the root of happiness. Thank you so much for sharing. I so agree with you. Natasha, how about you sharing? What does happiness mean to you?
So happiness for me actually is a choice. life keeps throwing situations our way all the time. And over these years, 25 years that I've been working and coaching, um, the thing that I've learned is that no matter what is happening in our lives, we always have a choice. We have a choice either to go down that path thinking that the worst is going to happen, or we can actually alter that thought moment by moment, step by step, maybe just the way you did. You know, every day when you moved a little part of yourself, you said yes, rather than only this is moving. You said yes, one more part of my body is moving. You know, one more step closer to my goal. So really, that's what I think happiness is. It's a moment by moment choice to whether I'm going to go the negative way or see the beauty that the universe has given, because it's given abundance of beauty around me to keep looking at and keep concentrating at. In fact, I'd like to ask you a question. What
Sure.
was your mantra of happiness during your time of struggle? What kept you motivated and what kept you going? Uh, you know, like when just there was no movement at all. Um, how did you keep yourself up? I did hear that you said your genes and your upbringing did that, but I'm sure you have a mantra, or you had a mantra which you continue to have today.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Well, I am just stubborn. You know, for me, happiness is a choice, and there is no plan B. You have to. It's a mindset with me. So I will go off track, and then I just bounce back and put myself again back on track. So it's like I'm just always so grateful for what I have. I'm always counting my blessings. And I think gratitude is the basis of happiness. I mean, you can't be grateful and sad. I mean, for me, it doesn't gel. So it was my family, which were my major inspiration. I mean, they just worked so hard. There was no prayer that they didn't say, no holy place that they didn't visit. They were there every day, boosting me, encouraging me. So at that particular point of time, they were the major inspiration. I mean, I just could not give up. If I wanted to also, if I wanted to say, hell with it, I don't want to do physio today. It was like, no, I just have to. I just have to. 11 a.m. every day for 2.5 years. My dad came and had coffee with me. I mean, it was 15 minutes. It was the most stimulating, invigorating cup of coffee because it gave you all the boost. So I was like always on a high, because for me, that's the way to be. Life is too precious to be sulking, to be giving up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to share what happiness means to them?
Here, Shil.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so it's very dark here, so I'm not switching on my video. But I always find that when I'm content, I'm very happy. And this contentment comes through appreciation, through gratitude. So there could be times when I'm working very hard and I'm extremely happy. I'm running from place to place, but I'm very happy. And there could be times when I'm just sitting reading a book, just watching the rain, and I could be very happy. So I think there is an inner contentment that creates this happiness within me. So I wanted to just share that with you. And thank you. It's been a marvelous, marvelous experience listening to you, as well as I can't pronounce Mr. Ghanem Al-Falasi. Yes, that's right. Thank you for your contribution. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Shalini. That is so wonderful. I mean, you have to be content to be happy. You cannot be not content and be happy. And to find that joy in the smallest of things, whether it's a cup of tea, coffee, the rain outside, it is so beautiful. You don't have to have a huge list that, okay, when I do all these things, I will be happy. So I think you're absolutely on the right track. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks, Shil.
Anybody else would like to share their thoughts?
Hi, this is Pramod. Can I share?
Of course, please.
Yeah, first of all, I will say your story is, I would say, very motivating. And when I was listening your story and the other one who shared the story of his mom, I was just thinking that whenever something happened with us, we realize, and then obviously things start changing in some cases. But in normal circumstances, it is very difficult to adapt this lifestyle because we're going behind the targets and other stuff. So how we definitely train our mind that this is what is the reality, rest everything is for the time being. So I would definitely seek a suggestion there. But for me, what I try during the day is that to be honest with myself and going to bed with the mindset that I've at least tried to do all the right thing and have no grudges when I'm sleeping. That's the real happiness for me, and my all efforts are in that direction, I would say. So that is what I wanted to share, but I definitely want your view in terms of in normal life when with god grace it's things are moving fine, then still how you adopt your mind, how you will say, how will ensure that this is what you should do, guys. That's the right thing.
Thank you so much for sharing. I think you're actually just on the right track. I mean, if you can remove all your grudges before you sleep, that's wonderful. I will say something, like I was saying, this study of happiness, it fascinates me. I read whatever I can, and what I like is that it's now become a science of happiness because our minds are so logical. Everybody wants an answer. If I say I think or I feel, everybody's onto Google. They want to know. So science is actually what I read about it is it's amazing. There is a chemistry between your smile and your brain. So this muscular movement of a smile, it tricks your brain into thinking that you are happy. Because although our brain is supposed to be really smart, but it cannot distinguish between a fake smile and a genuine smile. So when you smile, there are certain chemical reactions that take place in your brain, and certain hormones like dopamine and serotonin are released in your bloodstream. Dopamine is the hormone that makes us feel happy, and serotonin reduces our stress levels. So my one small suggestion to everybody, over here would be to just smile. And if you don't even feel like it, imagine the beauty of it. If you fake a smile, even then you're getting the benefit of a genuine smile because your brain is still producing dopamine. It's still giving you all the benefits. Your heart rate is regulated. Your immunity system gets better. You smile, you make someone else smile. It's a total win-win situation. So that would be my little take to anybody who wants it.
Thank you. I think that's great suggestion. I will try to follow.
All right. Thank you. Anybody else would like to share anything with us? We seem to have such interest.
Hello, it's Paramjeet.
Yes.
So I think everybody has expressed his way of happiness, and it's fluid as the ladies told, and it changes from our childhood to the end of our life. And happiness is basically, as you said, we deserve it. Apart from that, it's a choice we make in our life also. If we don't if we are just complaining, leaving the gratitude aside, and always bickering upon the thing what is happening, and particularly when everybody say be thankful to God when you are in a good condition. I think you have to be happy when you are in a bad condition also. You have to be thankful to God. God is giving you some lessons of your life through this past difficult time. Once you pass this difficult time, you will feel you are more happy. Of course, the difficult time is certainly there, and I think gratitude is one factor, which is one of the topmost factor, which helps you and how you look at the things. I lost a job, and I feel, oh my goodness, what happened? I was talking to my wife only today. I lost 5 jobs, and none of job I applied, and I got a job because without complaint. Today only in the morning I was discussing with her that I never applied for a job. I lost 5 jobs, And before the next job started, like I left the first job, the second came. Because I always thank God, I think it's time for me to now grow for the next place. So I think that how you look at the things is the one of the major factor. And for me, happiness is particularly for me if I see my people around me are happy, and I try my best to cultivate that in my work culture, in my work also, as well as to the family and my friends and folks. Thank you for giving the time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your thoughts. I think you have defined happiness so beautifully because you have the practice of gratitude, and gratitude is, I think, the basic mantra for happiness. If you are grateful, you will be happy. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to share their thoughts?
This is Syed Saif. Can I share?
Please do.
Okay. I think happiness is a daily decision. That is the way how I look at it. You can get up in the morning and decide whether you want to be happy that day or not. And generally people say that it is your desires that make you unhappy. But the way I look at it, it is your inordinate desires that actually make you unhappy. An example of would be that selling one of your kidneys to buy a new iPhone. Probably that would be an inordinate desire that you have. But to have a desire and passion is not a bad thing, but probably the inordinate desires are something that make you unhappy. And my funda has been, Sonia knows me, so I quit a job and I started my own business. That was around 2 years back. Obviously, initially business was not doing that good. It took some time to pick up. And my wife would ask me that, how do you stay so cool? Your business is not doing that great. And so I would tell her that what is the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is I'll have to go back to a job. Yeah. So it is completely up to you. And I think someone just said it is also about your contentment. So it depends how content you are in life. That will decide your degree of happiness. Thank you. Thank you for giving me time.
Thank you so much for sharing. I think you're just so right, to be content and to decide to be happy. And we cannot decide for today, tomorrow, day after, everything today. We have to, when we wake up in the morning, like Sadhguru said, you wake up with a smile. You have to make the decision yourself. No, you cannot put the key of happiness in someone else's pocket. You have to keep it in your hands. You are in charge. You are responsible. So I think if you have that mindset, you're just on the right track. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else would like to share their thoughts?
Yeah, Shilpa, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Please.
Okay, Shilpa, so I feel happiness comes from within. If you are content inside and you're grateful for everything that you have, happiness just spills over anyway in everything you do. It also is your own faith in the universe. Universe has been it generally becomes very kind. It responds to you if you show something, a gratitude towards whatever you have. Somehow you start getting the strength within anyway to get along with whatever is there. So happiness is, I feel, it's within you. And you can't find it outside. It has to come, and you have to be joyful and thankful for the relationships you have, thankful for what the universe has given to you. And of course, the faith within, because there's somebody that is always with you, is taking care of you. There's some power that looks after you, and that brings the joy itself.
So beautifully said. You have just put the entire definition, I feel, of happiness. Kamini, thank you so much for sharing. I mean, you've spoken about faith, you've spoken about gratitude, and it is, of course, within us. We keep trying to seek, like how we keep seeking everything else, but that's, I think, a futile effort. It's absolutely inside us. So thank you so much for sharing such a beautiful definition of happiness. Anybody else would like to share? Okay, then I am going to leave you with just one thought and one exercise. That is to smile, and better still, to make somebody else smile. You will see you don't have to find happiness, because happiness will find you. Happiness does not live well in isolation. It thrives when shared. So try it. It has worked for me. There've been experiences, there've been episodes, lots of episodes when I was like shedding 2-3 tears, and my husband would tell me, oh, Papa has come. And I was like, okay, I would wipe my tears and suddenly be all cheerful. You know, I would pretend, I would be smiling, laughing, and in 15 minutes of coffee he had gone, I was so happy. So, you know, it is a choice that we make, and it was the smiles. I had faked it, but eventually I made it. In the sense, he was happy, I was happy, everybody was happy, and it went off really well. So that would be my leaving thought with you. And on that note, I would like to thank you all for joining me in this session today. You've taken out your time. It was so wonderful to meet you all, to share our thoughts. I look forward to seeing you in our next meet, to be announced soon, to further explore this wonderful concept of happiness. Until we meet again, be safe, be happy. Thank you.